he got asked about Tulsi Gabbard. And the reporter, the journalist said, there are foreign allies who are very nervous about sharing intelligence with her. And he said, oh, I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. I heard that for the first time the other day. I mean, I think she's a great American. I think she's got tremendous common sense. This woman with tremendous common sense, Tulsi Gabbard, went to Syria, met with Assad, legitimized him as a member of Congress, then came back here and advocated for him. You're telling me this woman went over there, came back and advocated for him, and she's got common sense? Our foreign allies are right to be nervous about sharing intelligence with her.
Well, she's a weird one because she has so many characteristics that you would think that everyone who's a progressive would want as a president. She is a veteran who twice served overseas, twice deployed. She's been a veteran for a long time Congresswoman. She's from Hawaii. She's Hawaiian. You would say she's a woman of color.
They say she's a woman of color.
She's a very articulate, rock-solid woman, and they've tried to find a bunch of dirt on her, and they can't. They don't know what to do.
What do you get when you throw Joe Rogan, The View, and a $50 million lawsuit into the same blender? A legal circus with a side of scorched earth comedy. Tulsi Gabbard just dropped a lawsuit so heavy it nearly knocked the set off balance, and Whoopi's hairpiece almost filed an appeal. Joe Rogan? He's sitting ringside with a verbal flamethrower and zero chill. This isn't just courtroom drama, it's a roast session wrapped in a legal brief. Get the snacks ready.
I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts. Because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you the question?
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what...
Well, it finally happened. Someone actually treated The View like it was worth suing. And not just with pocket change, we're talking a $50 million legal wrecking ball courtesy of Tulsi Gabbard. Looks like she got fed up with being tossed around like yesterday's hot take by a panel of high-volume daytime drama queens. Forget passive-aggressive tweets. Tulsi brought subpoenas to the table. If you were betting on how long it'd take before someone challenged their trash talk with actual legal firepower, time's up.
Did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
Naturally, it didn't take long for Joe Rogan to jump aboard this flaming roller coaster of daytime drama. And let's just say, he made himself right at home. He was cracking up like a guy who warned everyone the roof would cave in, and then watched it happen in real time. With all the grace of a wrecking ball in a hoodie, Rogan ripped into The View hosts like they were a buffet of bad takes and media missteps. Subtle? Not even close. Entertaining? Absolutely.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
We're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing.
But let's rewind for a second. The View, basically a studio-hosted group chat with lighting, has made a career out of blurting out lukewarm takes before the caffeine even hits. Somewhere along the way, they decided Tulsi Gabbard wasn't just controversial, she was an existential threat to democracy, decency, and maybe even Sunday brunch. While they were busy turning borderline defamation into daytime filler between pancake recipes and B-list celebrity chatter, Tulsi was in the background, prepping her legal arsenal in silence.
Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strike strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. It's why I ran for Congress.
She didn't crash the set. She didn't film a dramatic TikTok monologue. Tulsi Gabbard filed a lawsuit, like a grown-up. A very well-funded, legally armed grown-up. The kind who comes prepared with documentation, a sharp legal team, and enough restraint to turn daytime digs into courtroom evidence. While the hosts were still perfecting synchronized eye rolls and interrupting each other with reheated cliches, Tulsi was already suiting up with lawyers. And Joe Rogan? The moment he saw that legal filing, you could almost hear the cork pop on his metaphorical bottle of celebration. He's been poking at legacy media narratives for years, and The View is basically his final boss of televised absurdity. He said it before. If you want to watch the slow collapse of intelligent debate, just tune into The View trying to break down geopolitics like it's a cooking segment. So when that $50 million lawsuit dropped, Rogan looked like he needed a seatbelt just to stay upright from laughing. At last, someone with the guts, the proof, and the legal firepower to call out a show that thinks louder voices mean better arguments. Tulsi didn't just deliver a threat, she delivered a message. The sandbox antics of daytime TV don't protect you from the real-world consequences that come knocking when you cross the line.
Why not? Because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
Rogan didn't just criticize them, he went full roast mode, not only for tossing around reckless accusations, but for being a parody of serious discourse wrapped in daytime drama. He compared their version of debate to a Thanksgiving family feud, only with fewer facts and way more ad breaks. Breaking down their formula like a chef with zero patience, Rogan laid it bare. Grab a headline, sprinkle on confusion, stir in personal vendettas, and serve half-cooked to an audience barely awake. This wasn't just a takedown, it was a full-on demolition. He torched the show like it was built from cue cards and buzzwords, pointing out how it's morphed into a safe haven for baseless outrage dressed up as moral authority. As if clapping louder and pausing for dramatic effect somehow replaces actual evidence. He mocked the way every host acts like they're dispensing universal truths, when really, it's just a carousel of hot takes pulled straight from trending tweets. And let's be honest, Tulsi Gabbard isn't exactly someone you can casually smear. She's a former Congresswoman, a combat veteran, and someone who's actually spent time crafting real policy, unlike most of these panelists who can barely fact-check a script. The moment she broke ranks with the political status quo, she became an easy target for an echo chamber allergic to dissent and addicted to groupthink.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
What The View pulled wasn't just a lousy opinion, it was a professional ambush dressed up as concern. Tulsi's lawsuit was her way of saying, "Congrats, you played yourselves. Now let's see how that holds up in court." She didn't clap back with a social media tour or cryptic subtweets. She went full legal drama, with a filing, not a filter. That's when Joe Rogan shifted gears from amused bystander to full-on hype man. He backed the lawsuit like it was a much-needed correction in the media universe. For Rogan, this wasn't just about defending Tulsi, it was a chance to take aim at a system built on surface-level chatter, spun narratives, and fact-free confidence. He praised her for doing what most people only joke about in private DMs or Reddit threads, actually pushing back with something real. Rogan tore into The View's constant self-appointment as experts on topics they barely skim, mocking how they serve opinions like gospel with research that doesn't go far beyond a trending tab. He didn't just laugh at their takes, he deconstructed their entire shtick. To him, The View isn't a talk show, it's moral theater where whoever yells loudest wins, and facts are more like optional props. Tulsi, on the other hand, played it like a tactician. No drama, just documentation. No rants, just real receipts. While the hosts were busy marketing outrage as enlightenment, Tulsi was securing legal ground, and that's exactly what made Rogan respect her even more. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a precision strike against everything phony about daytime
The View
punditry.
has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
dumb. I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say.
Meanwhile, The View kept acting like it's living in some kind of bubble, where reckless comments just disappear without consequences. But here's the kicker. They weren't just dishing celebrity gossip or cracking bad jokes about pop stars. They made serious claims that hit someone's career and reputation hard. And finally, someone decided to call them out for it. The lawsuit pulled back the curtain on just how carelessly these shows throw their weight around. Joe Rogan, the unofficial champion of media skeptics, turned the heat up on the whole system. He pointed out how daytime talk shows like The View sell outrage as entertainment, spin wild guesses as bravery, and treat clapbacks like expert analysis. He joked they might want to add a legal advisor next to their stylist, or maybe a civics teacher. Because when your version of journalism involves talking over your co-hosts and bungling foreign policy terms, don't be shocked when someone takes you to court. Rogan didn't just stop at the lawsuit, he went full comedy roast on how these shows are made. A panel competing to outrage each other, armed with notes probably Googled over lunch. He laughed at their pretense of shaping public discourse when they can't even get through a topic without drowning in buzzwords.
Culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Tulsi, on the other hand, was ice cold and methodical. No yelling, no theatrics, just a clean legal filing that turned The View's soapbox into a courtroom witness stand. She didn't just step into the fight, she showed up with blueprints and started planning a new foundation. While the show leaned on noise, Tulsi relied on precision. Joe Rogan treated the whole situation like a lesson in accountability. Just because you're on TV doesn't mean you're above consequences. Clapping on camera doesn't make your opinions valid, and fake concern won't save you when it turns into a lawsuit. This isn't some petty celebrity feud, it's a cultural litmus test. Are we witnessing a fearless woman standing up to media harassment or a thin-skinned ex-politician looking for a payday? If you ask Joe Rogan, it's definitely the first. And he's far from alone. Countless people cheered when the lawsuit dropped, enough to fill a stadium or at least a very excited subreddit. What's even better? The View didn't see it coming. They probably thought their studio lights would shield them, but courtrooms aren't lit for drama. They're lit for facts, evidence, and accountability. 3 things The View struggles with once the teleprompter runs out of sass.
That show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Rogan's mockery came with a smirk, but it also came packed with proof. He highlighted how daytime shows often skate by on the bare minimum understanding of complex issues, then act shocked when someone calls out their nonsense. For him, this moment was way overdue. Tulsi's lawsuit wasn't a stunt. It was a clear warning shot, one that could ripple through every studio with a cozy couch and an open mic. And the fallout? It's just getting started. Media insiders are clutching their pearls, double-checking insurance policies, and legal teams are probably binge-watching old episodes to find all the oops moments. Meanwhile, Rogan is likely gearing up for a podcast titled something like, "Why Yelling on Daytime TV Isn't a Legal Defense." Now the popcorn is upgraded to champagne, because this lawsuit goes beyond Tulsi and a handful of hosts tossing around poorly thought-out hot takes. It's about punching a giant hole through the fragile shield of media immunity. This isn't just a quarrel between a guest and chatty hosts, it's like suing the circus for letting clowns run the press conference. Finally, someone's dragging that glittery microphone into court and asking, "Are you legally allowed to be this absurd?" And make no mistake, the cultural stakes couldn't be higher.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
Tulsi's lawsuit swings wide open the door for every public figure who's ever been shredded in the tabloids. It sends a loud message. Go ahead, throw your careless accusations on national TV, but don't be shocked when someone shows up with a lawsuit backed by footnotes that outnumber your entire research team. For far too long, media personalities have operated in a fantasy land where being wrong doesn't come with a bill, only with ratings. Now that bill is detailed, notarized, and stamped with a $50 million price tag. And Rogan? He's absolutely loving it. This is the guy who built his platform by actually listening longer than 3 minutes. Watching The View scramble under legal fire must feel like watching an improv troupe get audited. The idea that they might now need a fact checker, or anyone who's read more than a Wikipedia summary before going live, is just too perfect. Rogan even jokes that maybe they'll hire a lawyer who doesn't get their updates from Instagram Reels. The bigger picture here is crystal clear. Smear campaigns aren't just annoying background noise anymore. They're legal landmines waiting to explode. We've reached a point where recklessly spouting falsehoods on TV isn't just unethical, it's financially reckless, especially when the target keeps receipts like a tax auditor with a grudge. This lawsuit is cultural dynamite, turning the talk show table into a courtroom, the gossip segment into Exhibit A, and the coffee mug into a potential liability. When platforms this loud act this careless, someone had to push back, and Tulsi made sure her message echoed all the way to the green room. Her move wasn't just legal, it was symbolic. Joe Rogan was more than happy to be the hype man, using his platform to mock, analyze, and revel in the crumbling credibility of The View like a guy who's been waiting for this moment since 2016. As for The View, they're stuck in the awkward limbo between spinning stories and subpoenas. No slick segment can turn this into a feel-good narrative. No guest star appearance can distract from the mounting court filings, and no amount of applause can drown out the sound of accountability knocking at their door. Joe Rogan celebrated this not as a single lawsuit, but as a cultural reset. And the best part? He didn't even have to shout. He just laughed, pointed, and let the truth do the damage. So here we are. Tulsi Gabbard filed the papers, Joe Rogan popped the popcorn, and The View might want to seriously rethink their legal game. Because the real daytime drama isn't happening on TV anymore, it's unfolding in the courtroom.